right, welcome everybody to the second episode of the CXAI Toolkit Deep Dives. Today I'm here with Kamalesh. Kamalesh, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Sven?
Yeah, I'm pretty good here actually. I'm so happy that here from our Munich office actually we finally got some sun again. We had like 2 weeks of constant rain, I believe. I'm sorry for talking about the weather all the time. And yeah, so this is our second episode of the CXAI Toolkit Deep Dives, and I think we have some really cool show prepared for you. We're gonna start with an overview of the 2506 release news. And then I'm going to be doing a demo about the quote creation agent before we actually then step into the shopping agent. And we also have a demo about a product description templates, which is a new feature. And I would say let's get started. Okay, so let me share the release news.
Yes. So the first episode of this series, we had given you an overview of CXCI Toolkit, and this episode is in continuation to that, and we showcase the next set of cool features. Yep. Go ahead, Sven.
So let's start with the sales and service. There's not so much on that page, but there was actually more updates about commerce in this case. But the one thing that I really wanted to highlight, and that's why we also chose to demo it later on, is the quote creation agent, right? I think that was really something that a lot of people have been waiting for. And in a nutshell, it really allows you to monitor an email inbox, right? And from the email inbox that you monitor, you can then identify quote requests that some of your customers are sending to you, and then automatically create new quotes in the sales and service system actually for these incoming emails, which are then saved as a draft, and you as a salesperson, for example, can then choose to work on them. And I will try to demo this later on. I think it's really an exciting feature. Let's move on already to commerce maybe. Do you agree with the things that I had chosen here actually in terms of highlighting? So I highlighted custom product descriptions, add to cart for the shopping agent, and APIs for self-service. So those are my highlights. I'm not sure if you agree, Kamalesh.
Yeah, sure. Looks good.
Sounds good. Yeah, cool. I mean, so I will quickly talk about some of these actually, right? So there's pricing, a new pricing feature for Shopping Assistant, which is a small update, but you now have real-time pricing inside of the shopping agents that are exposed to the consumers. We can more flexibly deal with the product types and what attributes are actually being used for the product descriptions, for example. Multilingual support for product image prompts. I think that's easy to understand. And the shopping agent has a playground, right? And we can then also, when it comes to tone configuration, top right, you can now change a bit how the assistant, in what tone it's reacting, basically, in speaking. But the three things that I believe we will also show in this webinar now, or in this deep dive, is later on we'll see the custom product descriptions, right? And we also, along with the shopping agent and APIs for self-service, we'll have a mix of demos actually when it comes to the shopping agent, and we'll see something of these also live, which is kind of cool. Perfect. Well, then I would actually start sharing my screen for the quote agent, I would say. Let's do that.
Yes, the code creation agent is a very well known use case where we like to automate code generation in SAP C4C. That's to increase the sales efficiency and drive revenue growth. Yeah. So with that, yeah, Sven.
Okay, then let me show you the quote creation agent. So as you can see here, I'm in my web browser, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Outlook. And in Outlook, I'm going to jump into the role of Joe Wills, who is requesting a quote via email. So I'm going to be Joe Wills. I'm switching to that persona, and I'm sending my email to a shared inbox, in this case, to our AI agents inbox, which would be the shared inbox of our sales team, for example. I'm then choosing a subject and a body, and I'm just going to read this out to you so you can fully understand it. So it's a quote request for the Multi-Echo 33i. And now for the body. Adrian is my sales representative. I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out to request a quote for a potential purchase of 3 units of the Multi-Echo 33i product we discussed. Could you please provide information on pricing, availability, and any applicable discounts? So that's the important information of that email. And I'm going to send it off in a second, and then we will see actually how our quote creation agent is able to respond. So let's send this off. And I can already now go over to the Cloud for Customer system. Perfect. So here in the sales quotes, I will need to switch to all my open quotes. And at the very top, you can now see that we have a new sales quote that was coming in. So let's take a closer look at that. And as you can see, it's still open, which is as expected, but it correctly identified the product. Yes, and it also correctly identified that we're requesting quantity of 3 here. Perfect. So it's the right product, it's the right quantity, and it also correctly identified, for example, the account, C-Bound Industries, and it assigned a default employee, for example. All that did get correctly identified. And there's also a note actually that our agent left, so we can clearly identify this quote was created by the CXAI agent in this case. All right. So what I next would like to show you is actually how we set this up. So for this, I'm switching to the CXAI toolkit, and I'm the admin of all these agents, so I can show you how I set them up. So let's go to our agents in this case. And then you will see that we have a couple live. So we have a Q&A agent that's live right now, a service classification agent, but what we're interested in is the quote creation agent, of course. So it analyzes incoming emails and creates sales quotes in the SAP Sales and Service system. That's clear. And now for the agent trigger, that's quite interesting. We're operating off a shared inbox on new emails, and we're actually getting triggered whenever there's a new email thread. Go over to the agent settings, and here I'm just reading the instructions so you can follow along. The agent is supposed to create a CRM record, which is a sales quote, and for this it first has to identify the customer account, and then we also have to get some business information, for example, which product and how many we are requesting. And once this is all done, we can create a CRM record in the sales and service system in this case, or in a Cloud for Customer system. Perfect. So if we scroll down a little bit, you will then also see that we have a couple of tools available for this agent. So in this case, we need to create a CRM record, the sales quote, for example. Or we need to extract some business object information, like, for example, the product ID and also product name and the quantity. So that's happening here. And before we can all do that, actually, before we can create a CRM record, we also need to get some account information with this fetch tool. And here the playground, you can try this out. And because we don't have a new email coming in, we can just search our existing emails. So here I'm just typing the Multi-Echo 33i. And now we can just choose one of our existing emails in the shared inbox. And we can just use this basically as a trigger. And you will then see which tools it's calling, and you can verify that the agent is working correctly with this. Perfect. So here I'm trying this out, and this typically takes a few seconds. And then you will see a timeline of the tool calls and also of the outcome of all these tool calls here in the playground. It works, it executed correctly. It got a task, the agent, that's what you can see here in the logs, right? And then, for example, we extract the account based on the email. We extract the important information, like, for example, the product ID and also the quantity. And then we also create the CRM record. So in this case, there was an email with a quantity of 50. Yeah? So that was in the email that I just selected. And this got created. And I'm pretty sure, so this is the 6494 ID in the Cloud for Customer system, and we can try to look for that. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so the agent executed successfully. Very cool. I think that was the agent part.
Couple of things I wanted to add on this code creation agent is obviously for this to work end to end, you also there are certain prerequisites, which is integration with SAP Cloud for Customer and integration with Microsoft 365. And the steps for these are detailed out in our help portal. Yeah, please do have a look at it. One other thing is we also have some enhancements to this coming in our next release, which is the code also considers email attachments. Yeah, right now you just saw the code created from the information that is there in the email, but going forward we could also use the content within the email attachments to create a code. So that is something that you could expect in our next releases.
Very cool. Yeah. Cool. All right, I think then we already come to the next demo. So we have a show full of demos today, right? And I think you wanted to show us the shopping agent, I believe, right? So let me get your screen on here.
Okay, so with this release, we have enhancements to Shopping Agent. Shopping Agent was introduced in our previous release. So first, before jumping into the new features, first let me give some context on Shopping Agent. Let's start by talking about what the Shopping Agent actually is for the viewers who are watching this video for the first time. At its core, it's your natural language AI assistant for digital commerce, and it's designed to understand shoppers' intent. So instead of searching for, let's say, ski gloves, a customer can just say, I'm going for skiing next weekend, and can you help me get everything I need? And the assistant will figure out what all you require for your skiing activity. So one important aspect I would like to highlight in this shopping agent design is that the responses from the agent often ends with a question back to the shopper. We found that this is an approach which increased continuation of the conversation. So by combining tailored product suggestions with the follow-up prompt, we keep the interaction moving and align with the shopper's intent. So getting started is easy. If you are using SAP Commerce Cloud, you already have your product catalog which is already compatible. And one other thing I would like to highlight is the shopping agent is multilingual out of box. When a shopper initiates the conversation, the agent automatically detects the language and responds accordingly, and no extra setup required. So to make your digital storefront accessible to more customers across markets and ensure that everyone gets relevant answers in language they are most comfortable with. And shopping agent goes beyond single product lookups, and it really works like a knowledgeable sales associate. So imagine you are going to electronic store and asking a salesperson there and ask about a TV. So they will help you find the right TV, but in addition they would also recommend certain cables, wall mount and soundbar and so on. So it really acts like a digital sales associate. Yeah? So let's see it. Okay, so here I am in this grocery store here, and it starts with a welcome message here. So I am just type a message, suggest food for dinner party, and you will see that the agent recommends certain products, and it also throws in the pricing information. Yeah. Okay, so here you see, there's some text for your dinner party. I have a delightful selection of party platters, and it just shows you the different different items that's available: cheese platter, shrimp platter, orange platter, and then you can see here it's all shown with pictures, and you also see the price information coming in from Commerce Cloud. And let's say I want to add this, let's say I want to order orange platter. I say add orange platter to cart. So this adding items to cart is really the important part of your shopping journey. It integrates directly with your Commerce Cloud cart and checkout setup, so it ensures that the pricing and promotions are automatically applied. So you can see now it is added to the cart. Let me go into the cart, and you can see this is already ordered. So I proceed to checkout.
So maybe while we're waiting, right? So this comes to the customer as an API, right? So the UI that you're showing is just an example from our demo team, essentially, and it comes to you as an API. Yeah.
Correct. And then I click on place order, and the order is placed, and great. Now you can enjoy your dinner when the food arrives. Okay, so now let's say you have placed that order and you are really hungry. You are waiting. So show me my recent order status. Oh yeah. Okay. It includes 2 items. Yeah. So there you go. You can see the order status. It's in currently processing. Okay. So that's the shopping agent that you see on the front end, on the storefront. Now we go to the CX AI toolkit, and you see the shopping agent has been set up here. Okay, so what I would do is, as an example, I'll really not create an agent, but really go through the steps here. The shopping agent. You have to select the agent type as shopping agent, go to the agent setup, and go to agent source. This is where you can select the product catalog, select the grocery product catalog, and agent settings. So this is where this is what I wanted to point out. Here you can actually, one of the enhancement is actually you can set the tone of the agent. From the various options: neutral, casual, formal, and then these are the additional agent capabilities. So you can check the pricing from the SAP Commerce Cloud. So this would display the pricing information. Order status allows you to check the order status. Add to cart allows you to add to cart. So these are the backend settings that you have to enable on the shopping agent on the CX AI toolkit.
Yeah,
so
cool.
that's about the shopping agent.
And I think we discussed before, right? So once you would have saved the agent, which we're not doing here because it's just for showing it quickly, then you could also play in the playground, right? You can then basically have one of these chats in the playground, but we're not doing this here because we have already some agents live here, I would say. Yeah.
Exactly. So just to conclude, shopping agent is our natural language assistant for commerce, built to help shoppers find, understand, and buy items with confidence. So it understands real shopper intent, so customers can describe what they want in their own words and not just the keywords, and deliver a response that feel helpful and they are not generic. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Kamalesh. So I think let's just come to the final part, right? So I think the demo is about the product description templates, which is also new in this release. Let's see what we can do with that, actually.
Okay, so product description templates lets you generate descriptions of your products, where you have full control over the structure, the tone and length, and also you could maintain consistency across all your products. So you could use a reusable prompt template to generate product descriptions, which is tailored to your organization's brand voice and its strategies. Okay, so I go here in the CX AI toolkit, the settings, and under commerce, you could see product description template, and we have something like a sports product description template. You just edit this, and you could see that you have a template name, description, and in the template prompt, you have already given instructions when writing mountaineering product descriptions. Focus on reliability, the overall length, and also you could conclude with a direct call to action, encouraging the user to trust their essence. So this is something where you could give your own prompt, and this is place where you could actually let's say enter a product, and this is a playground that's available.
I think the something to add here, right, is previously in the product descriptions, you were able to choose a tone among like five, six different options, and you could choose a length, for example. But now you have actually a full text area that you can completely modify to your needs, and you can set it as a standard for all the upcoming generations, right?
Right. And you also do have options where you could set a default tone, a default length, and this also there's also option to customize which one should be seen when you actually apply this template. Yeah. So here is the playground. You could select, you click on generate, and you see the results here. And here you can see you could generate product descriptions for multiple products, right? So here you go here, if you could select these products, and in these products, if you click on generate, you have an option to use a template, and this is a template which we created, and here you could click on generate, and then the descriptions are created.
Yeah, I think that's a great feature, right? And that's really combined with the bulk feature of the product descriptions. It's even more powerful, and that's also really based on customer feedback, by the way, right? So I once also got that feedback that it would be really nice to be more flexible with the product descriptions, and here we go. All right, Kamalesh, I think we've come to an end, right, for this episode. There was a lot of news in the 2506 release. We have the new release coming up in a couple of weeks, and we'll probably get together again and show you the new stuff that's happening in CXAI Toolkit. For now, I would say thank you so much, Kamalesh, and whoever's watching, see you again in a couple of weeks. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.